Hello and a very warm welcome to Frost Over the World. Later in the programme I'll be talking to the former UN Commissioner for Human Rights and the former Irish President. They are both, of course, Mary Robinson. Then we'll be discussing the health of Fidel Castro, or the lack of it, and hearing from the Foreign Minister of Serbia about the chances, the dangers of another Balkan war. But first, Lebanon. On Wednesday this week, another car bomb exploded in a Christian suburb of Beirut, killing anti-Syrian MP Antoine Ghanem of the Maronite Phalange Party. He was a member of the governing 14 March movement, and his death has reduced the bloc's majority in the Lebanese Chamber of Deputies to just 2. The bombing was the latest attack on leading figures in Lebanon's anti-Syrian movement, with 5 others killed since Rafik Hariri's assassination in 2005. It also comes less than a week before MPs are scheduled to meet to elect a new president, a post reserved for a Maronite Christian under Lebanon's political system. So what does all of this mean for Lebanon? Is it a deliberate attempt by Syria or its friends to destroy opponents one by one? What's the reasoning here? Joining me to discuss this are from Beirut, Alain Aoun. We welcome you, Alain. Thank you for joining us. A leading member of the Free Patriotic movement in Lebanon's parliament. And here in London, Mark Daou, a member of the late Mr. Ghanem's March the 14th movement. Well, coming to the crunch point at the beginning, I suppose, of this sad saga, in the case of Mr. Ghanem's death, let me come to both of you in turn. Mark, do you think that this was Syrian activity or the Friends of Syria acting?
I believe it's the same coalition that's trying to destabilize, which is primarily motivated by Syrian interests in Lebanon and within the region, definitely.
And when you say the pattern in general, you mean including the number of deaths there have been since the death of Mr. Hariri?
Yes, indeed. Starting with Marwan Ahmadi's, the minister's attempt on his life on the 1st of October, I think it has been the same series of murders and the same side trying to destabilize the situation in Lebanon, to deny the Lebanese the right to determine their own independence and sovereignty in Lebanon.
And over to you, Alain. Is that your summary? Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, of course, Syria is... I mean, it might be. Syria is one of the main suspects of what's happening here in Lebanon. But the weird thing is that so far, after 16 or 17 assassinations or attempts of assassination, we still have no clue of any suspect in any of the attempts that happens. And this is weird, and this is the responsibility of the government and of the security, of course, forces, in order to consolidate this accusation and then take it to the international community and to even to the Security Council and complain against Syria. So we have also to have some some concrete proofs in order to consolidate this accusation.
And you feel that Syria has not been involved in this pattern of murders since the assassination of Mr. Hariri? You would give them a clean bill of health?
No, of course not. I'm saying that it's one of the main suspects, but this doesn't change the fact that there is an internal crisis in Lebanon, a real political crisis with real internal issues that are not related to Syria between two factions, the opposition and the government forces. Of course, there's a dimension, a regional dimension for the conflict. There is a Syrian interference. There are also other interferences in Lebanon. But what I'm saying that this does not, these assassinations that are being done, but definitely enemies of Lebanon, whoever they are, do not change the fact that there are real issues and internal issues and political issues and fair issues and claims by the opposition in its conflict now, in its political conflict with the government forces.
Back to you, Mark. What's your response to what Alain said?
Well, I believe if you've got 6 MPs murdered, and in addition to several journalists and several attempts on their lives, and terrorist attacks throughout the country targeting different minorities and different regions, I think that comes at the top of the priorities over any discussion about the socio-economic situation, which indeed is still important, but yet the security of the decision-making process and the health of the state and the people representing the people in the parliament gets top priority. And I think the March 14th, through their support of the International Tribunal, the Special Tribunal for Lebanon, and their support to try and get to the murderers and to get indictments of those accused, primarily Syria and its protégés in Lebanon, is the best chance being offered to the Lebanese population to get to the root of those murders. And I think in the history of Lebanon, never has there been any indictment of a political crime. For the first time, we are rallying the international community as March 14th and our own resources to try and get a fair trial, to get those to justice, to stop the series of killings and murders in Lebanon.
And what do you think is going to happen when the vote comes up next week?
I do not believe that the elections next week will be held. I believe there's still a real threat on the security of all the members of March 14th, the majority in the parliament. And I think the continued protest in Lebanon next to the parliament is also a threat to the clear process of electing a president in the coming elections. And I think the political situation can yet be evolved to maintain the sovereignty of the Lebanese state through an agreement between the opposition and the majority within parliament on maintaining the constitutional deadlines to electing a president, which is by the maximum by the 24th of November. So I think several attempts will take place up till the 24th of November, but by the 24th of November, even if there is no agreement, I think March 14th should elect a president by a majority of the parliament.
What's your view on that, Alain? Do you think it's too dangerous to go ahead with an election next week?
No, we should, and I agree on the priority of protecting Lebanon and protecting, and I don't disagree with that. I did agree with the solution. I think the solution is to bring back stability to Lebanon, and it's not by adopting only one view and continuing with the same politic. There is the solution for this, and to reinforce the stability of Lebanon and the protection of Lebanon and all the politicians and all the Lebanese is more unity between the Lebanese, is an agreement between the opposition and the government forces. It's not unilateral solutions. It's not continuing with the same politic and with the same behavior. So I agree on the priority of that, but I see it in just that altogether, when we are united in the same government, in the same goal, we can protect Lebanon or try to reinforce its protection against these enemies that are targeting it. Now, as far as the elections is concerned, the election should take place and will take place, but it requires an agreement between the two camps, because it needs the session for electing a president needs 2/3 of the parliament, and neither of the two camp has these 2/3. And so there should be a political agreement and a political platform for the next president and the next presidential term, and try to repair the past errors that led to this crisis. We want these elections to be a start of solution and not a continuity for the crisis we are living.
Thank you very much.
This is how we see it.
Right. Now, there is one additional thing there. There's a disagreement there between you straight away, and the 2/3 majority that Alain says is required, whereas you would say it's a simple majority plus one, yes, for the election of a president.
There's a constitution here.
I definitely...
It's not me saying that.
I believe if a 2/3 quorum can be achieved, that would be a more stabilizing effect on the Lebanese political life. And if that is achieved through an agreement, that is a great achievement for Lebanon itself. And I think that is why by the 25th of September, there will be no elections, and time will be given to negotiate up till the 24th of November. But by that time, if no agreement is reached, I think the priority is to maintain the constitution and the constitutional deadlines and elect the president with the majority of the parliament, because that takes precedence over any other issue. Constitution is highest.
I think both of you have been making some very interesting points there about coming together and whether it's practical to come together and to come closer together. And we thank you very much indeed for being here. Thank you, Alain. And thank you. And thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And edging there towards some understanding. After the break, join me as I talk to the Foreign Minister of Serbia about the daunting prospects for another conflict in the Balkans. Do not go away, as they say.